What's up, everybody?
We have an added layer of security now. Hello, everyone.
Um, who's where's so I know Chip told me he may not be here. Where's Ben?
Ben said he
You,
might be a little bit late, so I started it.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. Did
yeah,
everyone get a new layer of security? I had to put in my name, email,
I got that too.
MFA, push.
Blood type.
Yeah,
Gosh, small group today, only 12 so far. What's going on?
it's Easter holiday.
You think that's what it is? People taking off early, or out early, Enrique?
I had an attack this morning and asked the attackers to please wait till Monday.
Were they
Well,
okay
actually,
with
Tuesday.
that? Were they okay with that?
It took me a bit. They weren't too happy.
Oh, okay. But they,
They
but
asked
they,
me for a Bitcoin in the meantime. Just to,
did you have a save for real?
I did.
Good. All right. We got some good news then. That's awesome. You always got some good news, Enrique.
Man, but this one, I told them to fire the guy. I told him since they hired him. I think I talked about this a while back. He comes in asking for global admin permission because where he comes from, that's the way. Like he would open tickets and we would deny it and deny it, and he kept on asking. Like, what the hell is wrong with you, dude? I don't care if you kill me. We're not giving you global admin rights. That's why you have JIT. Like you elevate yourself. You want exchange. You want teams. Whatever you want through SIP. And I told him, I go, this guy, and they're like, no, no, yeah, yeah. I go, no, you're not understanding me. The dude's mentality is the issue. Because we've told him once, we've told him twice, and he keeps on opening the same damn ticket, requesting global admin user rights. Now on the call, he tells me, well, that's what, where I used to work. That's what we do. And I'm like, congratulations. I don't know where you used to
There's
work, but that's not what we do here.
no sheriff in town, right, Enrique? You
And
told me.
guess what he did this morning? I would have fired him on the spot. Click fix. He
And
fell for a
oh,
damn click fix. This is the
no
IT
way.
dude.
No way.
Rocket Cyber calls
Get
me.
get
Isolated machine. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
wow.
It's,
You got a sick Tina on him. She'll fire their ass. Right, Tina?
this is like ridiculous. Like, it's like, here's your sign. I mean, it's just, and I told him, this guy is going to get you in trouble. There's no doubt about it. I mean, how many strikes are we going to give him?
So did you talk to the executives about him? Or like what's going on?
Since the morning.
And what are they
First
saying?
person I called, he's like, oh, remind me why. I'm like, remember, talked about it. He's been asking for global admin rights because where he used to work, that's what he had. Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true. But yeah, that was solved. I go, again, it's not if it's solved or not, it's his mentality. We still hadn't had the powwow with him. The good thing he was honest about it. But I'm like, I just seeing the command. I go, there's no doubt he clicked on something. He did WinR, Control V, enter. This is an IT dude at a fertility clinic. I'm like, there's no way on earth this is allowed. And I go, but I'm jumping to conclusions here. I'm assuming. Let's get on a call with him. And he was honest about it. He's like, yeah, I shut down the computer. I go, but I go, we just need to
Can
understand what happened. And
I
oh,
can I make a recommendation just
yep.
based on what you just said? I'm pretty sure that he should be sterilized based on the DNA and that you're at a fertility clinic because this guy should not be reproducing, Enrique. So that's just my that's just my 2 cents. Leron, what
Can
are
I
your
use it?
thoughts here?
Can I use it?
Um, yeah, I don't know.
I,
What are
I
your
I jumped in a couple minutes late. I just heard fire the guy or something like that. So I have no context as to what
Click
went wrong.
fix, click fix. Right click, copy, control
no?
V, control, Windows R.
Yeah, but you miss, Leron, is that this guy has been begging Enrique for months for global admin privileges.
He comes into the company because the other guy had a temporary issue. So they hire him. He comes in to support the guy that had a temporary issue. And he gets in and he opens up a ticket that he needs global access. They have three different companies that he needs global access to the tenant. And the help desk is like, Enrique, and I'm like, guys, you already know the answer. Well, yeah, we
Well,
just wanted to confirm.
I
So
mean,
they deny the request.
We have a
I have
process for that. They got to take me out to lunch, buy me a nice meal, and then you get global admin. That's how we do it.
well, but that's going to lead to drinks, and I might get in trouble, so I stayed away from that one. But so, needless to say, I have a call with his boss, and I'm like, dude, we have a serious problem. You hired a guy that, in his mind, he's like, okay, but you denied it. I go, it doesn't matter what we did; it's his mentality. So, okay, let's get on a call with him. We get on a call with him. I talk to him, and he's like, well, where I used to come, where I'm coming from, that's how we operated. And I'm like, with all due respect, I don't know where you're coming from and how you operated, but that's not the way we operate here, not even ourselves. We have just in time access. We elevate ourselves for whatever task we need at the moment. Okay. So a week goes by, he opens up another ticket requesting for global admin access. And I just go ballistic when I see it. I'm what the hell's wrong? So like 3 times and it's denied. This morning I get a call from Rocket Cyber, which we need to unify the phone numbers because it came out with her name, an analyst. So the first time I didn't answer, second time I'm like, this is weird. So I answered. They're like, we isolated the device, and they tell me the device, and that's the laptop of the guy. And I'm like, so I ask more questions. I'm like, can't be, it can be, but it can't be. So I'm like, what was it? Well, and are you sure? And she starts telling me, and I'm like, gosh, okay, now yeah, leave it isolated. Let me call him. So I call him up. I tell his boss, I told you this guy was going to bite us in the you know what. But why? I explain it again. We get on a call with the guy, and he's like, I was trying to download some software. I forgot for what he said because my mind was everywhere. I was raging. And he's like, so I clicked on it, and then I'm like, but did it tell you to do Windows R, Control V, Enter? He's like, yeah, I messed up. And I'm like, okay, I'm go. Thank you for being honest because it's important to be able to get the whole analysis of what's going on. But I told him this morning. I told his boss, you need to fire this guy. I've been telling you. It's not that I have anything personal against him. It's just he will bite us in the behind. And at the end of the day, who's going to be there trying to defend you guys? It's us. I go, and I don't want to be dealing with someone that has a knife and a machine gun and a grenade and is attacking us because he's internally.
Well, you don't have to defend stupid, Enrico. That's putting yourself at risk.
Fired. Out of here.
That's what.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, I have a question, a little off topic, but still relevant. And I'd love Liron and Ben's take on it. Just on that supply chain attack from last week with Axios and that whole thing. I don't know if you guys spent time on it on the last call or if there's been any discussion about it, but it seems like it's a big deal. And I'm always wondering, when I see some of those attacks and I see these new things coming out, my mind immediately goes to, if they had SaaS alerts, could it have helped? Or if they had our SIM or any of the above? Can you maybe have the group talk about like what happened and what things could have been put in place to prevent it?
It's on our list, but we can jump right to it now, Patrick.
Nice.
It happened this
Thanks.
week. No, you're fine. It happened this week. It didn't happen before last week, but yeah, Leon, maybe let's just jump in. I know we wanted to talk about good news, but since Pat brought this up, let's, you want to level set what MPN credentials are. I mean, from my perspective, Leon, when you hand people credentials, it's pretty. I mean, you're literally the threat actor is acting as the administrator, so your security tooling is pretty difficult when that happens. Obviously, there could have been geolocation and things SaaS Alerts does, but I don't think SaaS Alerts is going to pick up on something like this. But let me hand it to you, Liron, because this is your level of expertise. Maybe just start off with, I've done some research, but for everybody, what NPM credentials are, why they're so important to a developer, what's going on here.
So NPM, right? When you're a developer and you're building stuff, you often have to install third-party libraries, kind of like an app store, if you want to think about it. So you're bringing in these external libraries to help you with things like encryptions or a keyboard for a mobile app or whatever, right? You're bringing these third-party things in, and up until a month ago, this was a fairly secure thing that you could do, and it wasn't really a concern. And Andrew, on your podcast, we had this conversation where I was asked, what is your nightmare scenario? And I said, this is my nightmare scenario. And then like a day or two later, Chip starts sending us examples of this very thing happening here. I don't know if a security product exists to do this, but I get a lot of these messages from Chip about these compromised types of things here. And the reality is, I don't have visibility into what is installed on a developer's machine. So this is a scary thing because I don't have visibility into what is installed. And so what happens with this is if a hacker gets a hold of one of these libraries, like what happened here, they can poison that library, and then there's an update, and developers are told whenever they use this, hey, by the way, there's an update, like go update it. And so you're like, yeah, okay, go update it. And then you do that update. And if it's a really big library like this one with over 400 million downloads, you now have that poison code on your machine and you're susceptible to whatever the bad actor is looking to do.
Yeah, and what's interesting, hold on a second, Andy. What's interesting, what I found so it's gonna sound like I'm giddy about what they did. I'm not, Leron. What I found so mesmerizing about this is that the attack chain is so eerily similar to what they did was just what it's almost like an M365. I'm air quoting, right? It was a credential-based attack. Then they used typo squatting and, and renamed things, Leron. When they put stuff down, they erased their own track. So, there could be no potential detection. Um, like the kill chain is very similar, just a different just a different attack, they're going after libraries now. The supply chains are getting broader and broader is what they're doing. These development kits. So I just found that piece fascinating that they're not doing anything unique here.
Corey, I don't know if you can make a phone call or two, but get somebody at SonicWall to build us a tool to scan these things when they get installed on our machines.
What are your thoughts, Corey? Could there be any types of, you know, like I don't know if Corey's on mute, but if he's
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting hammered on my other screen right now. Sorry.
well, we're going to be hammering you about this shortly.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We were just, what are your thoughts on this, Corey? Like, if someone comes in and, becomes the admin, right, of this library, which is literally what they did, the lead maintainer of Axios, renames the packages in like nanoseconds, really 39 seconds. Sorry, 39 minutes. Both packages of nearly 400 million downloads. Typo squats them and basically erases his own traces. Like that's not an easy thing to do on a development area, is it? To try to find that?
No.
So this is
Yeah, I haven't dove into this one.
it's not my area of expertise, right? The device side is not my area of expertise, but what we would basically need is something similar to antivirus, right? Where you download something on your computer and it scans it and it tells you yay or nay. We would need something that is looking for typo squats and these other sort of threats that are happening so that when a developer does the update, it's looking for these existing threat signatures and then tells us you need to undo this, or I blocked it because of A, B, C, and D.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the conversation point for the last, I feel like it's been, I don't know, when did the whole next gen craze around AV solutions come out? It's probably like 9 years ago, 10 years ago.
It was Stuart McClure. You guys were early to it.
Correct. I mean, it's the benefit of having something more sophisticated than just signature based solutions. Because this is what they look for, right? They look for these modifications. They look for anomalies within a file and what expected behaviors are supposed to happen. Pre-execution, it can dissect that file and identify what it's doing. And then the importance of EDR, because it took a while for the industry as a whole to adapt and adopt EDR in general. But there's still a huge struggle out there on analyzing EDR events, just like there's a struggle on analyzing SaaS alerts events on your own, right? You have to really know what you're looking for, especially when you're diving into the intricacies of, what types of behaviors are occurring, no matter if it's endpoint or cloud.
And the interesting thing about this is, right, if I'm a bad actor, I'm going to release a fix for this, right? Hey, download my tool. It's open source, MIT licensed.
Yeah.
And then it's going to scan your stuff and it's going to tell you if you have it. And if I was a smart bad actor, I'm going to package my own poison in there for you. So like, yeah, go ahead, download that. It'll take care of everything for you. And boom, you just got compromised in a different way.
Yeah, but it also leads into, when it comes to configuring endpoint solutions, we get so stuck around following the vendor's recommendations of what to do. So many vendors will say, exclude our whole directory, exclude all of the processes associated with our file. So if I'm an adversary and I know that, right, I'm going to run all my processes out of already excluded directories. So I'm good. Your antivirus doesn't even come into play anymore.
Yeah. Crazy. It's freaking crazy. Anyway, Andy, what do you have? You're on.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to find where my mouse went all of a sudden. My question comes on, taking this one step further. Claude had some information exposed, and we are now beginning to rely on AI to do some of these things. What happens when it moves kind of off-site? The way I'm understanding, the sitemap allows code to be managed or understood more easily. I guess I'm asking, how does something like a Claude exposure that occurred impact businesses that are attempting to utilize AI and Claude as an example?
So from what I understand, the Claude code, source code, was leaked and people have downloaded it, and Claude has sent a bunch of legal cease and desist, like you can't post our copyrighted stuff. But the Claude code, at least a version of it, is now out in the wild. And the source code itself is not malicious, right? So it's not going to contain Andy Rowe's personal private conversation. However, bad actors can look at the source code and they can understand how the thing works. In using that, they can now, it's kind of like, right, if you're going to break into a bank or something, having
Yeah.
the architecture diagram of the bank.
The blueprint.
Exactly. It's a blueprint and it makes Claude code more susceptible to break in, but by itself.
Totally with you. So you're hearing what I'm really asking is, as people begin to implement using AI for their business processes, or as Kaseya does this, how can I don't know that there's anything we can do to help better protect our content and our use case, because we won't know when this occurs and whether we have exposure.
I compare it to the Wild Wild West, right? If you're
Yeah.
looking at the frontier, there's a lot of opportunity to be had, but it's also very risky. And so the question is, what is your appetite for this? In the software world, in many industries, if you're not moving at this rate, you risk getting behind. And so software companies and you guys, there are a lot of tough decisions to be made around what this all means. But look, cybersecurity, right? We know it's fundamentally a cat and mouse game. And then eventually the cat is going to figure out how to hunt the new mouse. And that is just going to persist and it is going to continue.
Well, thanks for allowing me to at least voice a concern, because we've gone from, hey, some programming code got exposed, right, with the NPMs, and now it's got that. But now, if we're using agentic AI to do some of this, how do we protect ourselves from that?
Yeah, well, the NPM thing wasn't, just to be clear, Andy, that wasn't exposure. That was poisoning.
Sure.
A little bit different, but Leon, what is your take on just like, I mean, this is, I think it's 10 days, the first were the 4 team PCP, they had like LLM is the big one. And then they don't attribute team PCP to the Axios. They said it's a North Korean group gave it, we have attribution there. What is it about this all of a sudden? Is it just an exposing the overall security weakness and overall in development? Like, why all of a sudden now is this a hotbed, and why is it getting exploited so heavily?
So that's a great question. I think that uh, based on some of the attacks, right, that you shared earlier, because humans are less involved now and have been abstracted away as orchestrators and conductors, like we're no longer playing the violin, right? We're now just conducting everything. And in order to go fast, you have to allow your AI agents levels of autonomy so that they can do these things on their own. And you could, like a lot of people, right? What they do is they give their AI agent this big complicated task to run overnight, and then they come in tomorrow morning and they're like, "Oh, wonderful, you did it for me." And in order to do that, these things are kind of like fundamentally secure. Initially, they ask you permission to do everything. And when you grant them access, you can say allow once or always allow. And in order to run this thing overnight, you basically have to give it what I think is known as dangerously accept permissions. Like it's in the permission word itself. And you're like, yes, I dangerously accept permissions. And then when you do something like that, and your agent is now doing its thing, oh, I need a new version of Axios. Let me go bump that up. And it does it automatically. I think we've seen attacks that's how they go about doing it. And I think on the other side of the house, the possibility and feasibility of threat actors, right? You can now be a 13-year-old kid who's just doesn't really know code all that much, but you're a wonderful AI prompt slinger because you've been cheating on your homework with AI for the past 3-4 years, and you're an expert at that. This is really just another version of that.
It's what we've been talking about with VPN, and I've talked about it on here, right? Everyone gets pissed off at whatever insert firewall vendor you're using, right? Oh, another vulnerability. I got a patch for another vulnerability, another vulnerability. It's because adversaries are taking that code, right, of the current firmware. They have it loaded. They're taking the new patch that just came out, new firmware that came out, throwing it into AI and saying, okay, tell me the differences. Then it's able now, you can just throw the code in there. And that's part of the Claude issue, right? Is you can throw the code in there and say, show me the vulnerabilities. And you took out the level of sophistication that someone used to have. As Leron said, right? You just have a 13-year-old now that just knows how to use AI. If I'm attacking somebody and I realize I'm in their environment, I've already penetrated their walls there, right? I'm inside their environment. I am noticing they're using Sentinel-1. Let me throw into my AI that I'm using, tell me different tactics I can use to bypass Sentinel-1. So it speeds up that process for the adversaries. And they don't have to have that technical knowledge that they used to have. But kind of also going into what Andy was saying, I'll still die on this hill. Our best defense is our hygiene in general, right? What are we putting out there? What are we putting out on Claude? What are we putting out on ChatGPT? What are we exposing ourselves to? And how are we accounting for that? Knowing the adversaries are going to move quicker, how are we accounting for it? And we need to stop putting things off till next year, right? We need to kind of focus in now because these attacks are happening now and they're happening more rapidly.
Yeah. Andrew, what comes up for me is Sunil and what he talked about at Ride a Boom, and how we actually now need not an antivirus, but something to protect the knowledge that we have built into the stuff, because I believe there's going to be a subterfuge coming at us, and how to deal with that at a more autonomous level. That's really where I think this probably is going.
So in the chat, Jan asked a very interesting question. When will SaaS alerts connect to our AIs and monitor bad behavior? Something that we briefly kind of looked at. So there's multiple layers to this, right? Number one is if somebody logged in to my Claude accounts from Pakistan, that is not a good thing. That is kind of the classic bread and butter of what SaaS alerts does. I need to evaluate whether or not the vendors expose this data to us. And I'm sure they're logging it internally, but the question is, do they make it externally available? So that's the first layer that happens here. The second layer is, say if Jan is a bad actor inside his own company, and he is doing, and that like there's a fairly advanced company and there's projects and things like that, and knowledge is shared at the AI layer. In other words, there's things you can ask the agent to go and get out, right? So Jan goes in there and he's like, "Hey, do you have access to Andy Rowe's social security number?" "Oh yeah, that's in the HR section." "Great, give me all that." In order for us to monitor that, we would need to inject ourselves into the middle of that conversation and then assess what you're actually asking for. And how do we actually assess if what you're asking for is good or bad? Answer: we need an AI agent that is sitting there and evaluating your conversation with Claude to determine whether or not you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. And as far as I know, that doesn't really exist, right? There's no way for us to inject ourselves into that middle layer to evaluate what your conversation with Claude or ChatGPT looks like.
Leron, quick question. I mean, I'm going all the way back when all of us first started SASE and you and I first met and we started getting going. One of the big, this is pre-Kaseya days even, one of the big hurdles, the big like should we or shouldn't we do this is should we be reading emails and looking for potential threat actor behavior? And at that time, SaaS alerts took the stance of no, we're not going to read emails. We're going to monitor all the activity around it. It sounds like we're almost back to that initial conversation, just different layers of technology. Is it somewhat eerily reminiscent of that?
It certainly is, but the difference being that Microsoft allows us to read emails and Teams messages if we wanted to. And we would then need to ask you guys to say, hey, grant us permission to read emails and messages. And we would actually then be reading those things and processing them. But as far as I know, the AI companies don't even expose that information, Andrew. So if they did expose it, then we have to ask the moral and security question of should we?
Imagine being reading Corey Clark's stuff. I mean, jeez.
You are in Australia. I mean, it's
Oh man.
The other way I've thought about doing this is build a company that acts as a middle layer between Claude and your customers, basically, right? Because now if you have that middle layer available and it exists, now you can apply all of your DLP type policies that are in there to police what your workforce is doing. But chances are you're going to be paying a lot more for that monthly subscription as opposed to $20 a month.
That's a really interesting and great point. Enrique, are you being a statue or do you have your hand up?
No, I have my hand up. I was just going to comment that internally ourselves with DefenseX, we monitor the prompting that is used on AI for our own team. So there is capabilities out there to track this.
How are you doing it?
With DefenseX? What are you laughing at?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Michael Crean. I didn't realize he's here.
So there is capabilities of monitoring AI prompt logs. Which I don't want to show them because mine are logged also, and you don't ask. But
So that looks like a secure browser, right?
Yeah,
DefenseX
exactly.
is DNS agent
I
and
know.
web browser plugin.
But there's always a give and take there, right? If you're using something like this, now you have to accept the fact that everything that you're doing is now going to, like everything, to this third party via this browser. So again, you have to weigh the pros and cons.
It's a great point. Great point, Leron. You are going to see, I think, more stuff on like, you know, Edge is getting into this game, Leron. looking at kind of where people are at a higher level, right? Not at the, but at a higher level where your people are traversing to what AI tools, and being able to put policy at in the browser layer, like, hey, we're blocking, as an example, we're blocking ChatGPT, and so I think you're going to start seeing that. I think that this is several layers down, right? But I think there's tremendous business opportunity here with brains like yours, Leon. It's huge. I think there's going to be, but to your point, the ubiquitousness of AI right now at the low price points, who's going to pay, right,
The
you know,
higher price
for
point.
the higher ones? Yeah, it's
And the reality is, if you go to your business or your customers and you send a message like, don't use AI, like AI is dangerous, do not use it. Now you're running the risk of being behind. And so what a lot of the bigger companies, I see that, so in the AI world, there are these things called evals, and evals are basically a way for you to validate the quality of your AI responses. And a lot of them just kind of rolled out the AI agents, and then after the fact, they're building these evals. So their AI agents are in the wild, and they have no idea what they're actually saying or doing or telling their customers. And so these companies have obviously said and chosen and decided we need to get our AI agents in the wild because if we don't, our competitors will. And so let's get them in the wild first, and then we'll figure out if they're saying crazy things later.
great, absolutely crazy. Well, let me go in interest of time. Amazing conversation. I love this call. Let's go to Amanda real quick. She has an update, and then let's go to the Sonic Wall Protect report. I love the way they didn't call it another threat report. We got Michael in the house, which is wonderful. Um, so Miss Amanda, are you with us?
Yep, I'm here.
All
My
right.
update's really quick though, so you guys can get back to the fun stuff. Just wanted to let everybody know the final two Purview snapshot types that we're planning on right now will be released shortly. They are in the final round of testing. It'll be Purview information barrier policies and Purview insider risk management policies.
Fantastic. Yes, Enrique.
Amanda, is there any way to simplify deploying automatic labels and things in Purview, like through your configurations?
We don't have anything in Fortify right now to streamline the Purview configuration. What I'm talking about are the snapshots that once you have Purview configured, you can then import those settings and then send them across the rest of the organizations you want to put them across.
But
Okay, thanks.
Amanda, any idea if our super secret project is going to be able to do this?
It should, yeah.
So we're working on a super secret project that
Beta test me in.
we're not there. We're not ready for that
Alpha,
quite yet, but
Charlie, Bravo.
you'll be on the list.
Sounds good. All right. All right. So let's I just threw in chat the Sonic Wall threat protect reports out. Michael, Corey, look, I can do one of two things. I went ahead and as this group knows, when I share my whole desktop, things get very dangerous, but I'm going to do it anyway. So one thing, Micah did a wonderful write-up, executive overview of it. It's downloadable once get in. One thing I was just going to say, I would have missed this. Just Corey, I think this is. I wish maybe your marketing team called this out a little bit better, the download, but you can find it. It's right up here, just so you guys know if you want the PDF version of it, which I highly recommend. Um, and but Corey, do you want me to kind of let you guys take it away and kind of walk through it? One thing I would love for you to talk about is why you guys are calling it a protect report versus threat report, and then can you extrapolate what hits and ticks are? Because I thought this was really interesting, and I was up at 2:30 in the morning this morning Don't ask me why. I just couldn't sleep. And it wasn't coming to me at 3:30, 4:30, or 5:30, even though you guys have this great little outline here. But let you take it away and we can kind of roll through it. I have some also I put together what I thought were some of the great highlights of the report here as well. So you tell me how you want to approach it.
I mean, we have a guest here, so I'm gonna let Michael run with it. I mean, this is actually twice that you've been on because he was here last week. He was at a conference wearing orange, right? So,
oh yeah, that's true. We
you know,
broadcasted him.
we talked about him the week before that,
That's
Mr.
right. That's right. We did see him when he was in orange, the jumpsuit. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And then the week before, Mr. Fox News over here. I mean, I'll step back. You guys are used to hearing me run my mouth.
Doing it. Corey, I was here as a guest. I just wanted to listen. I'm here to hear all of that amazingness that you're dropping on this group. I think, Andrew, you did ask one question. I'll address that. It's like, why did we call it a protect report and not a threat report?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
No disparaging comment. Look, everybody's putting out great data. Everybody's trying to provide value to people and help them along their journey. But if you take the threat reports and you look at them, they're all saying the same exact thing. Like there's some small variance of data in there, but even like if you take a Chat GPT or a Claude and you take 2 or 3 threat reports in there, they'll all come back and tell you, yeah, they're almost exactly the same. So some of this is like, could we show something different? Could we give you some true actionable items and data to make a difference? Not let's just talk about, hey, we've seen a rise at this percentage or we've seen a decrease at this percentage, but what can you really do to protect yourself?
Right.
And that's why we kind of went down this path.
That was good. I think it's great and it's unique. And by the way, I've read to a degree every one of them. Paolo's Dark Trace. We've had them all here. Sophos. And there's several others that have come out, and they are all CrowdStrike's very similar. Although CrowdStrike, Michael, tends to play very high level and with their own nomenclature of names and nation states where they try to differentiate. But I would imagine this is kind of akin to how Verizon takes the community defense report of CIS and kind of says this is what you could do. At least they do some semblance of what can you do to stop this stuff, which is, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you'll see, like where we're starting to go with this and the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah, that was great.
It's just a cool way of looking at it and talking about it and giving you a relatable way to have conversations with your customers. This is the thing that I hated as an MSP and an MSSP. You get these gigantic reports that Andrew, good on you for reading the whole thing of all of them that are coming out. Because man, that's a lot of work, dude. I don't have that much time in my day.
I don't have much of a life, Michael.
Well, so the hope is that we're really providing something different.
Yeah.
Something that people can start having conversations with their customers, having a conversation with your mom. There's actionable stuff in here that we can all do in our personal lives that we can be related to and do a better job just in general.
Awesome. Can you explain the ticks and hits, Corey? Maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, hits are just how many times they're detected. Ticks are unique, and this is it goes into the same familiarity of what the other threat reports are talking about, right? Where we're not seeing super new variants. We're still seeing the same thing happening over and over again, right? And so it's a way of kind of like what Michael said, we're saying it just a little bit differently, because if we keep hearing the same thing over and over again, we're not really listening anymore. So if we come at it from a different perspective and give the information a little bit differently, hopefully it'll resonate with the other people who it hasn't resonated with. And so the overall general thing is, okay, yes, identity is still huge. We're still seeing hits on IoT. We're still seeing similar, right? So example is last year for me was the year of Akira, the year of VPN attacks, right? So they're the entry points and how they're getting in, but they're still using the exact same tactics. And they're using the same malware, but they're becoming more where they're disabling our security services, or the general consensus of they're not breaking in, they're just logging it, right? We're giving them access because of the amount of business email compromises. Why we're on this call every Thursday, the importance of identity and identity monitoring.
Yeah.
And just elaborating on kind of what Michael was going into as well, we wanted to kind of give a different perspective on it because I'll tell you, I'm sick of reading the same thing over and over again across all the different threat reports.
Yeah.
Right. And then sometimes you throw ADD, ADHD brain, right? It's the same thing over and over again. I need to look at it a different way so I can understand it better and what's important. What do I need to take out of this report?
Well, yeah, and I love the way you broke it down each part into layman's terms. But can I ask you this? I was, IPS, right? We all know what that is, but why did you use that as a kind of I guess a grounding title? Meaning, Corey, like with so much of things, was this a differentiator? Everybody's looking from the cloud side in the threat.
These stats, that particular data came from our internal PCERT team. So it's what they're seeing from their perspective, from the network side, right? From what they're seeing a part of these attacks. I didn't contribute to that particular number.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, wait, man, IPS, you don't see that much these days, in data. Is that because of the firewall side of SonicWall, if you will, that maybe that side of it came out, Michael?
It is for sure. But Andrew, it is important because and I don't know where it's at in the report specifically, but Corey and I were talking about this and we've done a bunch of stuff recently, but like Log4j.
Yeah,
we're talking about something ridiculously old, but we're seeing massive amounts of hits still happening on the IPS side.
Let me show your report, Michael. It's right here.
4 years. I mean, it's crazy. 4 years, 825 million times in 2025. And it's a ridiculously old vulnerability. So, we're trying to call out understanding the ingredients to your environment. And we didn't want to say, hey, just IPS in general. We did say highs and mediums. Because there's so much unnecessary noise in the low realm that it boosts numbers and it sensationalizes it. If it bleeds, it leads, if you want to put something out for the media, but that's not what we were trying to do here. It was truly things that you should be considering.
Well, I think this goes into what you guys talked about is the cons. Like, again, you summarized at one point in here, which is, again, this is all back to like most of the attacks that are successful always come back to hygiene, the really lack of patching, like financial services. I think you guys had a stat. It was like over 100 days for a financial services term to roll out a patch. It's absolutely preposterous.
I mean, we've all seen it. Like how many MSPs on this call where they've told their customers, hey, we've got to do patches, and not today. Today's not the day, and tomorrow's not the day, and next week's not the day. And, days become weeks, weeks become months. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing.
I'm not going to go to the doctor and get my blood work drawn because I just don't have time. And then a month later and a year later and 2 years later, then you find you're really sick because you weren't being preventative.
Yeah. I mean, I even talked about it on here. Everybody here is familiar with the SonicWall compromise we had last year, right? And just the amount of time and the amount of investigations I had to do months after we announced, hey, you need to do this. You need to update your firewalls. You need to fix these things. And then I'm talking to people months after that is released, and they still haven't done anything. They haven't changed anything. There's accounts that haven't been touched for almost 2,000 days. Local accounts being used on that firewall haven't touched for over 2,000 days.
Well, and the thing about SMB that I liked that you called out was the fact of how many of them, number one, don't even change default settings and passwords, and then also, here it is, excessive. It's right here, excessive administrative privileges in the compromises that you guys studied. Here it is, financial services on average 100 for high severity. Hey, do you guys out there have questions for Michael and Corey since we have them here? This is rare to get Michael with us. So any questions on threat reports, protect reports, anything you want to ask, guys that, manage, like, I think before the sale was somewhere around 350 to 400,000 endpoints. So talk to companies, guys that ran an MSSP at scale, which is a lot probably bigger now with SonicWall. Any thoughts or questions you guys want to ask them? Or do you just want to be entertained?
So I
We're
just
really
wanna
good
ask
at entertaining.
quick question on, did anybody see the Kaseya email report? I haven't read it.
Oh, the Inky one?
I'm imagining it's an inky one. It was labeled as Kaseya email report.
I'm still waiting for the SASE, but anybody on the Kaseya team have any insights on why did you read it, Enrique? And if so,
I haven't. I have it, but I haven't gone through it. So I was just curious. I imagine it was inky related.
let's pretend it says the same thing as all the others.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we try to spin it a little bit differently. A lot easier to read. My big sin now, if it was just Michael and Corey creating this as solutions granted, we would have had the sins listed. But obviously, in a larger organization, we can't call out the sins because we don't want to offend anybody. A lot of politics involved in there. But my biggest ones are number one, which is ignoring the basics. The simple, Michael and I have been hammering that home on just general things like MFA, open RDP, patching, the easiest thing you can do in an environment. It's still not happening. And what we're doing, and it leads into my second favorite, which is number 7, which is greed, right? Which is chasing the hype and just going out and buying the next shiny tool. If you walk around any conference, everybody's out there with these great lights saying, "Buy my stuff. I'm going to save the day. We stop 100% of attacks, right? Buy my tool, buy my tool, buy my tool." And then you start looking at your security stack and it's just humongous, right? It's like, well, and we're just trying to fix everything with the tool, not realizing the most important thing is how you use that tool and how you configure that tool. And this includes AI, right? This includes the conversations around AI. You can't get away from talking about AI. But that's going to kind of overshadow the number one sin, which is your general and how you're implementing your tools and ignoring the basics.
Yeah, Corey, you like 1 and 7, and I like 5. I think I really struggle with 5. And Corey and I were talking about this the other day, and I think I've got an analogy that just kind of makes sense. Like, everything is about saving every penny that you can, and sometimes just so focused on driving the costs down and just buying cheap security. Andrew, I'm going to pick on you for a minute, but I'm going to be kind. I'm not going to be rough on you. Andrew, you bought a car in the last 2 years?
I did.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you what you bought. I'm not going to throw your business out there, but let me ask you, the make and the model of the car that you bought, was it the cheapest model in the line? Was it in the middle, or was it at the top?
More middle. It wasn't the top.
Okay. So there were creature comforts in that middle of that car, because the lower model of that exact same car still had tires, still had a steering wheel, still had windshields, still had an engine, still had air conditioning, still had all of those things to get you from point A to point B. But you spent money because you felt better about the middle model of that car. And yet when we look at security, we're always looking for the cheapest damn thing. And I don't understand why. It's hard for me to understand, why the thing that's going to massage us as we're driving has become so important, and we just cheap out on security, and the massaging isn't going to keep you safe if you get in an accident. I promise you, it is not going to keep you safe.
You feel good though.
You do feel good. Like Corey, I'll tell you, Corey loves to have a
AC seats, baby.
Heated and air conditioning seats. He loves it, but that is not going to keep him safe in an accident.
Yeah, it's like any look. I think it comes down to the boring stuff, and it's the boring stuff is hard. It's like Michael, we've talked sports many times, and if you look at let's use a sports analogy, right? The dynasties, whether it's a Belichick or whether it's a John Wooden, whether it's you pick your dynasty, it's always what are they fanatical about? Is fundamentals. They're not fanatical about bells and whistles. A Saban, right? Everything is about practicing the fundamentals. And I think we've got to do as an industry, get better at I'm going to air quote, advisory, the CISO type services, getting a board, becoming better leaders. You speak about being a leader, Michael. We need to be better leaders and expect to be in those executive conversations. And we have to get better at sharing with them how it relates to the business, right? The critical assets and systems that generate the revenue of why you need me to do these things. And you have to tie it to the things the business cares about to get capital allocation to do those boring things. And I think that's what is I would say hard part, the challenge for this industry.
I would agree. It's the hard part. I mean, when everybody else is out there talking the sexy talk and the brand new, shiny, cool unicorn thing, and you want to come back and talk about the basic, boring fundamentals, like people don't want to hear that.
That's a difference though, Michael. That's the difference between you guys picking a vendor and their tool to work with and then picking a partner. Are you providing not just the tooling, but the education? Are they in it with you, or are they just selling you some crap? And I apologize. I said greed earlier. It was lust. That's at number 7. And so we have to get away from that and start, instead of picking vendors, start picking partners that are going to help make you successful.
Yeah. Well said. Really well said.
Yeah. I'm going to go back with Tina. She's right. Heated steering wheels are really important, by the way.
They are.
Actually,
like, honestly, that's like, I've got my first car recently that has a heated steering wheel in it. And I'm going to tell you, like, going outside when it's 30 something degrees and the car's already got the heated steering wheel on for me. Like, I don't know how I've ever lived my life without it.
Heated center console.
Well, ask Tina. She's at -30 usually, Michael. So it's a whole different ball
we
game for her.
know the heated steering wheel is really important.
So, well, it's really good to see you, Mike. You look great. You look fitter than ever. We have to catch up. You making it to Florida a lot these days?
Yeah, I am.
Good. Fantastic. Any closing questions for Michael and for Corey on the threat report? And I highly encourage you to go to that URL. I can put it in again for you all. There it is. Share it. Give them props out on LinkedIn.
Plus, we're not trying to sell you crap in it.
No.
Yeah.
No, literally, like, my hope is, Andrew, is that something in those 7 deadly sins resonates with somebody and they get to take a piece and just pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then we did our job.
Andrew, we got to get the lingo down. It's not threat report. It's a protect report.
Yeah. Protect. Exactly.
Yeah, what's that threat?
Don't worry. We're changing it up on everybody. Don't worry. Corey and I are known for being a little controversial.
You are. You've always been a little controversial, and that's what's made you guys stand out.
That'll get people to listen. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing you in a Mario outfit again, Corey. That'll.
Oh no, not this year. That was one of the Kaseya connects. We're not doing that this year. So
okay. Well, we'll see. Will we see it connect, Corey?
Yeah, I'll be there. Yep.
Michael?
I will not be there.
You will not be there. Okay. Well, all right. We got about 5 minutes left. Any things that you guys want to chat about, or
any other wins? I stole the whole time.
Your win?
No, any other win.
Any other win? Yeah, we could certainly do that. Yeah, Mike, we're putting it all on Chip's credit card. Don't worry. Now Chip and I are gonna do something together. Write a boom, SaaS alerts, quote unquote group. We'll get the team together and do something fun with you guys. Oh, and your card too, Ben. I forgot about that. Ben, any updates on before we let everybody wrap up, any updates on the course? Has anything new each week? I ask you each week, anything new?
Yeah. They're working through it now, but yeah, there's a whole lot of material that we're working in there.
Okay. Do we know when it is yet?
The course or the workshop?
Sorry, the workshop. Yeah, live.
Workshop's Monday.
Okay.
I'll be there Sunday morning, and well, it's going to be an all-day thing.
Okay. And do people have to register if they want to be in that, Ben? Do you
Yeah, I
know?
think so.
Okay.
Believe so.
All right. So if you guys want to be in Ben's awesome workshop, is Leron going to be there?
I'll be at Connect. I don't have what it takes to be part of Ben's workshop. Ben's gonna have to run that one.
All right.
That's okay. We'll get you there.
Takes a special skill set for Ben's workshop.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we'll give you guys 4 minutes. Have a fantastic holiday, whatever you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate. But if you do, happy holidays to whichever area you choose, so I can be politically correct here.
There it is.
And be healthy, safe, and again, Michael, wonderful seeing you. Take care. See y'all.
Thank you guys. Stay
Thanks,
safe.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.